Let's now invite on stage Lloyd, Albuquerque, lighting designer and director. He's a professional lighting designer working in the industry for over 20 years. His profile includes forays and adept know-how into the latest lighting techniques and technologies. He set up LGL Designs in 2003 and has been a freelance lighting designer for several shows and events. He's a mentor and trainer at IIED, that is International Institute of Event Design, for Lighting Design Program, and has been felicitated with numerous awards. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Lloyd Albuquerque.
Good morning to how many of you who are here. Expected a smaller crowd, but it works for us. In terms of what we're going to talk about, just to give you an idea of where we want to go in terms of this 1 hour that I've been allotted, to talk to you about the very basics of how I understand this industry. We will be an hour's session. We could cut it longer or shorter. I prefer shorter because I want to have more questions at the end of this particular talk. I don't want to go technical in terms of what I want to talk to you about at this session, but if you have queries, you can make notes, and you can probably get back to me a little later, and then we could discuss them in detail. But this is open to everyone to get an understanding of what exactly I'm trying to do to this lighting scene that we have in India. So if you go and look at my screen right now, what's behind me, this is how I put it across. Lighting and why. Why is such a big thing about lighting designers now? Why do we need programmers? We already have, if you are a rental company or an event company, you would always get the lighting from someone. You would always get someone who can set it up for you. You get someone who can actually program the desk and run things like the way you want. You give the brief to the boy. Aisa light laga do, wo laga dega, chalu ho jayega. Does not make a difference, no? लाल पीला कोई कर रहा है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Light चालू है, दिखता है. So that is where we come in. We are designers. So what happens is the concept has to start from there, and now it has taken root actually. People have understood what a lighting designer brings to the table, right? How they've understood? They see. When a 3D guy brings up a set design, a plot, saying this is my design, and they forget to incorporate the trussing, they forget to incorporate the sound system which is going to fly, they forget that there's going to be a huge system for lights, right? And then you come on site and say, "Arey boss, you showed me some other render. It looked very good on the computer, but in real life it looks very different." So to bridge that gap between what should be, what can be, right, and how it can look the best is what I do. So that's where I come in terms of lighting and why. This is important for me, very important, because we all probably have 20/20 vision. I probably don't. But the thing is that you all see things very differently. For you, your backlog of resources, your perceptions, your favoritism towards a particular color, or your hate, I don't like the color green, or yellow looks too bright. Your perceptions is what you've built across, what you've learned, what you studied, right? So everybody sees differently. That's what the lighting designer understands. And I have to keep in point of view everybody's perceptions, that probably some people might not like this, or this client doesn't want this. So how to keep the client happy, keep my set happy, keep it all looking nice, very good, but keeping it within those guidelines. So striking that balance. And that's where it works. The whole idea of me getting in touch with IIED and discussing this, just to give you an idea, we only wanted to have one small session in this institute where we would talk about lighting for weddings. So I got approached and they said, we'll talk. And that one meeting went for an hour because he asked me questions and said, what can you give us? What can you talk about? And I was like, you know what? I just opened my drawer and I looked at a whole bunch of papers. I said, this is all that I have that I can teach. It's just like a file. He's saying, this is a complete course if you want to teach lighting. I said, yes. So this is where we are today. For me, this has become very important now. I do events. Some of you guys know me, what I do. But this is a joy. I love teaching. Actually, abusing kids is more like it. I even beat a few of my students. But it's all to get to a point. I like to get somewhere with this industry where it is today, to change it. Probably the guys who are on desk right now are lucky to get there. Most of the boys don't get there. The industry finishes them much before. The idea is to give everybody at least an entry the right way or the right kind of people to enter the industry. And that's where my company, which is called LGL Designs, sort of said, let's do this. This is my second year of students that I have. And in terms of understanding it, they're getting to a point which I like. So my last year, there were 2 students, right? One of them is already on shows. He's operating. He's doing a band. Another guy has a rental company which rents out slides. But he wanted to understand lighting design so that when he has a supplier, has to go ahead and put out equipment, he knows what to suggest. So he's understood lighting design like that. And he also wants to go on the road and do and operate gigs, which he's going to about do, but he can't get out of the rental, out of the shop, as they say. But soon we'll work that out and make that happen. This is how complicated it is for me. Every time I look at something, this is where it comes, yeah? Everybody sees differently. Some people like symmetry, some people like abstract. It's like going to an art gallery. If I don't like the artist, I don't understand him. My problem is difficult. If the client doesn't understand what I'm doing, he'll not pay me, man. Right? It's why I employed this guy. He doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. Shades, color, hues. Most of us, the last 2 colors and hues is the same thing. Most people don't understand the difference. If I tell them, if they give me a red and I give them a red, they say, this is not red. But you know what a primary red is. But if I show him something as a reference, or he shows me something as a reference, I go, now, that's the color. So it works that way. But I have to make it in simple math. Get the complications, get the jargon out of the way. So at the institute, what we try to do is, my training is for practical purposes. I'm not telling you, take this book, sit down, study it, buy it, ratta maro, karo. Then what's the difference? Then you can go online and get the same information, right? As we go along, I'll tell you exactly what the course is designed about and why it's so different compared to anything else out there. Because I did some research and I didn't like what I saw out there in terms of teaching. Most of the times, you'll come across guys and they'll say, you know what, this is one act. It's a play or it's a performance on stage. I need to design the lights for it. Where do you start? How do you start? I don't know how do you start, but this is the way I start. Okay? Again, try and understand who my director is. Scope on what work he's done. If he's a choreographer, see his previous work. See where he's done something and maybe you don't like it, so put it aside. You know what, this doesn't work for you. So do your research there. Start building up on what that guy is all about. Start reading people. Know the environment before you get there. If you're not going to know who you're going to be dealing with, I'm a lighting designer, I know it all. Doesn't work like that. I don't believe it works like that. So I go with a fresh slate to every meeting. No preconceived notions. What is that guy going to talk about? But I'll do my research. Right? It's called reading the room. So that is something also at the institute you have to learn, reading people. What is that guy actually trying to say behind the words that he's speaking? So for me, this, working down from that point to getting to the resources of understanding where he's coming from, plays a part. So I tell everybody, I'm a lighting designer. This is how I sell myself. I'm a salesman. Right? You see those guys in a tie in a showroom selling cars. Right? Sir, ye kharid to nahi, acha hai. Ye salesman hai. Kaisa? You have a product. It's your daughter's wedding. You have a product right? It's a car, it's a launch. Everybody's launching cars. You gone, sat with a design team for about 6 months, said, this is the way I want to launch my car, right? You spoken for 6 months. When did you call your lighting designer? 1 day before, right? 1 day is still extreme, I'll die. But people call us about a month before. The guys who know me call me 2 months before, saying, Lloyd, this is where we are. We will reach here, but this is where the basis is. What to do? They'll ask me what to do. The people who know me ask me what to do. Most of the time is they tell me, do this. ये चाहिए, ये बेचा है client को. Understood. Factor, factor, factor. Take it in, bring it down to inventory, bring it down to finally budget, then khaska. What? Now this is what you can do. Then last minute headaches that we deal with online, we deal with. Now I'm saying we deal with, but if you imagine a kid who's come from abroad, who studied light design for 5 years, he spent a lot of money, right? He's come to the market, India में उसको बिठाया, sir ये हाँ he sent you a proper lighting plot which the lighting tech on site can't read, doesn't know how to interpret a lighting plot, right? Doesn't know. Now what? The designer has asked for a particular desk, that guy doesn't even know how to patch it. And this is real life scenarios. This happens to us literally day in, day out, right? So how to do this? My role is what? I'm only a lighting guy. No. I have to make everybody understand. Production guy, what time your truck is going to come? Where am I going to get power from? Who can tap into my power? Is this truss safe? Have you spec'd out point load? Have you worked out emergency exits? Have you worked out the venue's parking issues? Where's my generator going to be? What distance? All that I have to do. Once it's all planned by the event guy, that means budgets are closed. So I become the bad guy. So the idea is to not become the bad guy. Pre-plan, understand how to make it happen. Because I have learned this the hard way. It's taken me 26 years to get here, right? But if somebody is new, they'll run away or they'll break down. Most event guys or event companies, event managers have come from a particular learning. And when they reach the site, most of them are only following that कि ये करेगा तो ये होएगा. 8x4 का platform, ये height. They don't understand this very important word that we use everywhere. It's called jugaad. That if you're stuck, then what? And it's not only, I'm saying it's not a bad thing for the Indian setup as a whole. I've seen it abroad also. You have to give me this. This is my rider. This is what I want. So you have to give it to me. If you don't give it to me, I cannot function. Is the norm nationally and internationally. Nationally, so we make do. But internationally, if you don't give a video guy his specs, his pitch, his distance, and you make changes, you say, I can't adjust the content. It won't happen. It happened here in the morning. My PPT was a different format, and the AV guy went and said, no, sir, I'll change the format, make it 16:9. You go abroad, it'll be a hullabaloo work for someone to make a small change. If I worked and I've basically programmed for we call them Goras, no? So I've programmed for them. If they program something me day 1 and it's set, and if on day 3 he comes and says, I want to make a change to program number 2, he will beg, plead, say, please, he'll be on his knees to make a change. Because that's how much they respect their work. They come pre-planned and everything is done. And changes is something that is a no-no. That means it's already done. Because they know what goes into changing a particular cue. उसके पीछे और उसके आगे दोनों को change करना पड़ता है. That means the entire show file gets adjusted in a lighting designer's or programmer's point of view or perspective. So my role is a lot. It's a lot of things. Yeah. Sometimes you have to make the console the client also. Say, boss, चलना हो गया, हम लोग संभाल लेगा. Right? Just an event in Turkey where the DJ decided to sit here in front of the LED wall. Right? The bride and groom is on stage here. And they are exchanging rings. And the client comes and says, yo, पीछे कौन बैठा है? अरे उसको हटाओ. अरे वो तो DJ है, तेरा track play कर रहा है. Event guy has forgotten that when he's playing tracks and when he has to perform, हाँ DJ है ना, उधर से ही बजाएगा. वो बाद में तो स्टेज पे ही जाने का है. So the DJ is there, and in every picture, now I've got two guys, one flunky and one DJ, in every main key shot. So you can imagine the blunder. So I said, sir, संभाल लेंगे. क्या करेंगे उसको हटाने को बोले. नहीं सर, स्मोक भर दिया पीछे से, छिपा दिया उन लोग को. एटलीस्ट 4-5 पिक्चर तो मिला होगा. अच्छा, ठीक है. तो जुगाड़ is a big word, and we do. This is where we get stuck. Most of us, this is where we get stuck. Client ने कुछ बोला, हाँ कर दिया ना सर, हो गया. And this is where we really make a big mistake. The client says, अरे बॉस मैंने तेरे को समझाया था ना. तो वो तो सेम लैंग्वेज बोल रहा है, आप भी समझिए कि वो क्या बोल रहा है, लेकिन your understanding of what he's trying to say is not the same. So the best thing is to show him option 1, option 2, option 3. अरे मैंने आपको ब्रीफ किया ना सर, एक बार देख लो ना. For me, my blue is my blue, your blue is which blue, I don't know. So I still have this problem with most clients. I've done 20 events with them. I still don't know what is their color of pink. I don't know what is this color of pink. I show it to him, he's okay, he comes back 20 minutes later and says, अरे change क्यों किया? So it will change, it will happen, it's going to do there. How to deal with it? हाँ सर हो जाएगा. 19-20 की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, 20-40 तक का मैं संभाल लेता हूँ. Because as a company, when we work not 19-20, we work 20-40. Backups on backups. कुछ बंद हो गया मालूम भी नहीं पड़ा. Right? साउंड में 10 स्पीकर लगाया, इसमें से एक बंद पड़ गया नहीं मालूम पड़ेगा. लाइट एक बंद कर, पिक्सल पे एक थोड़ा टाइल में फ्लिकर आया, दिख जाएगा. So our job is very tricky. So how do you make that as your scenario? Something happened. Unless generator only died, then you can't do that. But if generator also dies, what is your backup? So we work from that back front. That is where we come from. Not only boss light लग गया चालू है मैं operate करेगा. I don't come half an hour before the show to operate. We plan a day before, everything is done, then you're sorted. Right? So you have to understand what the client is actually trying to tell you. Most of the time what happens though, most of the guys don't get a time for this. ये गाना है, कौन सा गाना है? कभी सुना भी नहीं है. Right? And the client is saying, ये गाना मेरे को इसके ऊपर sound to light show करो. Right? कैसे करेगा? Music सुन के धाड़ धूड़ करके, it happens, and then you see it garbage. And every show looks like the previous show. You take 20 shows that have happened, right? And you put them up, and you'll see what's happening. The same Sharpies are moving. Everybody knows the word Sharpie. I don't know how. One company manufactured it, 25,000 companies copied it. हाँ वो Sharpie light, laser light घुमाओ ना. Laser light, a laser is something else. Now again, those lines have got crossed. Most of the guys would know that now we've got laser lamps. If I can put it mildly in understanding, that the light source is a laser. But it's a light. It's not a laser. It's two different things. Most people don't know, and when the client says, "Na, हाँ laser light घुमाओ," ये laser तो बंद है सर, laser तो लगा है नहीं. Because you're thinking something else. नहीं, he's talking. हाँ सर हो जाएगा. करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है? तो most of the time, history तो है ही नहीं. जो है, जो मैं कर सकता हूँ, जितना मैंने सीखा है, मैं उतना ही करेगा. For example, if somebody has to talk about something, this is what I learned very early in life. He will only talk about something he knows. He's not going to talk about something he doesn't know. That's why most people, when they open their mouth, you know how much they know. इसको इतना ही मालूम, इसको आगे इससे ज़्यादा नहीं मालूम. ठीक है? So understand the history behind what is happening, where you are, and what your role is. Most of the time, this is how I follow it. Very simple rule when I'm talking about colors. What is the set color? What colors will treat it, will work with it, right? Most of the time, I'm not so lucky. I get a LED wall. And the LED guy will normally be playing some graphics that are not connected to what I am trying to do with the artist. So my brief is very simple. I keep my LED guy on my left. My left hand is automatic. Mistake किया तो टपली खाएगा. But very simple. That boss, मैं ये color कर रहा हूँ ये गाने के लिए, तो ये graphics set करेगा. So for one song, I'll probably set 2 or 3 graphics, and you'll only play those. And I'll tell you when to go. So it's when to change, when to go on the music. And that way I program my looks. So at least the whole show you're not repeating the same cues. And it looks different. At least it looks different. So that's how you work with an LED wall. But if it's a set, it's a pretty set, and it's something that's physically built with florals and colors and page jobs, and you want to create depth, then that's a different ball game. Then you need to treat it nicely. Then my homework becomes time crunch. If you're doing a wedding set, the flowers are only going to come in the evening, no? They're not going to come the previous day. How do you know what kind of florals are going there? Whether they're artificial, whether they're real, whether they look nice 3 hours before. In the hot sun, they wilted. थोड़ा काला हो गया. वो फूल काला दिख रहा है. Lighting वाले का गलती है. समझ गया? So you have to understand, plan, and this is what this institute is trying to do. So right now we have finished in where the course is right now. We have finished with a lot of the current students I'm talking about. We have finished with all the basic technical stuff. They have to only practice. Now what we are doing? Scary scenarios. ये किया, क्यों किया? नहीं मेरे को मालूम है ना. I know the board, I know the software, so he's doing it. Why are you doing it? What is the actual thing that I want you to learn? You've got real estate, you've got the console, you got your brain, which is bigger than what you're doing. Think out of the box. Let's see where it heads. So everybody right now in my class is dying. Because they said we learned so much, but this is all not making sense. Now we are making it sense. The next month, still before September, the next batch comes in. What they will do is they will rig their heads on now the scenarios, how to apply this the right way. This works. Why do all the shows or all the programming for all lighting designers or operators look the same? Because it's the board doing it. It's not that guy using his brain or making changes. He went on YouTube, he saw a tutorial, and he followed it. How many people did the same thing? That's why every show, every shape, I can look at a shape running and tell you which console is doing it. I can see an effect and say, "Arey boss, ye yahan ye MA pe kiya, ye AO pe kiya," because then you know where this guy's come from and how much he knows, right? And that's where it changes for me, and it hurts to see that the guy can't go ahead. He's hit a block, or he's hit a wall, or he's realized that he can't do any better. And it ends for him there. All his life he'll keep doing that. This course that I am offering at this institute is to basically change that format. Let's change that. Let's teach people how to work with stuff. Costumes, colors on stage, yeah. Amber color का costume पे तुम blue light डालेगा, it will look like mud. But not everybody understands that. No, sir, blue light अच्छा दिखता है. मैंने program किया था, तो मैं use करूँ. That is how it works. They don't understand the basics of theater, concept, design, depth. नहीं आता है. How to change that? I'm trying. Most light cues follow the music. We all know that, right? You watch any artist. I'm not going to take names. You watch any artist and any operator. The entire show, I think 60 to 70% is just strobes or flickers, right? It's that. Oh, it looks good. No, it's the most impressive effect. If somebody's dying of an epileptic seizure on stage or in the audience, nobody cares. No, the strobing lights. A dancer has collapsed on stage. क्या हुआ था? नहीं वो light strobe हो रहा था ना, तो dancer गिर गया. People don't understand the difference between what to do and where. Indian music is quite dhadak dhadak. The beats are all good, no? So strobe करेगा तो अच्छा दिखता है. How long, when, why? See the costumes, see the props, see the colors. Work it in, no? I'm trying to teach. We only teach lighting at the institute? No. I'm teaching you how to put up your truss. I'm teaching you how to look at your set. If it's required or if there is a change in any of these things, how does it affect lighting? Because everything affects the lighting guy at the end of the day. How? You move the speakers in, it'll block some lights. Backdrop LED wall hai, usko 4 foot chahiye. The designer who was sat on 3D didn't plan it, so now the LED wall has come 4 feet in front. मतलब मेरा पूछा का पूरा backline छिप गया. How do you work around scenarios like that? What to plan for in advance when you see the set design? So you know that मेरे को 3 घंटा लगेगा light setup करने को, program करने को 2 घंटा लगेगा, ठीक है? और अगर वो सब करने के बाद वीडियो वाला आएगा और उसको आगे 2 स्क्रीन खड़ा कर देगा ऐसा साइड में, 1 घंटे पहले आएगा ना, उसका रेंटल बचता है. So then what do? So all of these things, how to make them work with lighting design per se, not only just coming there, making sure the lights are on. Most of the time, this is not understood, right? It's not understood. This is the set. I've lit it up. It looks like this, right? But if you go to a theater, if you watch theater, if you watch a play, that guy has got hardly anything with him. I'm talking about one of the small plays. He's got 10 lights that come in a taxi. And this is where I learned from. And he makes a morning scene. He makes a midday scene. He makes a night scene with those simple lights. The set doesn't change only. There are hardly any set. But he makes it happen. And to understand that for the new boys today is something they cannot understand. They know what the lights can do, and they'll do only that. तो उधर प्रॉब्लम है बॉस, बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. ठीक है, so just to give an idea, the same set, right? It's the same set. We just put on the backdrop it a position of a moon, so it became night. You changed the hue, you added a little dapple lighting, right? This is again become an early morning or twilight. But lighting can do this. But सिखाएगा कौन? Everybody knows now what morning looks like. How to create it using the tools that you have. Not everybody can do this with a Sharpie, no? There are lights in the industry. There are parkans, which we now don't have anymore. They're going to go away. But then what to do? What are the light sources I have? What I can use? What should be the intensity of the LED wall so that my artist in front of it is visible? Right? Talk to your video guy. Communicate. Understand with your audio guy what is happening. Can we move those front wedges a little outside? Can I hide a light in the corner? Right? Basics. I'm talking about basics. Sound guy has come, set up his system. Lighting guy has come, set up his system. And all the cables are running on one side of the room. The moment something came on, there's a buzz on the microphone. Basic things, and you see them. Boss, check with the sound guy, why he can't run his cables the other way. Or if you have your cables, can run the other way. They're not running parallel, so there won't be a buzz on the sound system. I'll try and teach. So this is what we're doing. Shadows, my God. We can spend weeks on shadows. But the idea is to observe. Observe nature, observe what is happening around you, and then apply. Most of my students will tell you how they suffered with shadows. But all these things can be depicted. Lighting. This is just a rough idea. But it gives you an idea of, boss, where am I headed? I can do all of this. Why should I do all of this? Most of the time they'll just do something like that because they can. Why am I doing it? Is there a duality that I'm trying to explore in the theme, in the act, in the nature of what is being presented? I can do all of this. How? How to do this, why to do this is more important. Depth. Sorry, you can't see it, but it's done on purpose. Right? So creating a negative and positive space on stage. Using the entire space, that when you take a picture even of that, if it's not a video, you understand where the depth is coming from. Where it is. If the artist has entered and walked across stage, you know that they are part of the scene or not part of the scene. Or when they start speaking, that light source came on, and then you'd look like now it's a part of that scene. Transition from one to the next. My God, transitions, so we can talk forever. But transitions is from one to the next. You don't want to see lights going, gobo scrolling, lights flickering. You want them to go smooth or to go off and then come on in another position, so that it doesn't distract you from the actual drama on stage or what's happening there. But nowadays, nobody cares about that, right? But we do care. It bothers me. I have OCD on that, right? So these things I teach. I teach these in a very understanding in terms of layman's terms. There's a lot of technical in this, a lot of physics involved, but we cover this in normal language at the institute. Now, if I start putting up slides like this, now you will throw me out, right? But this is where the basics of lighting works. It's a cube, it's a sphere. If any object can be lit the minimum of ways, there's 6 ways to light it. Up, down, left, right, front, back. Basics. Now, if you move any point here, suppose you go along this line, that again changes it, right? So we have softwares that can do this, that tell you in a 3D environment, beto, light dalo, move it, put it on an object, I will get this angle, right? So this is the kind of look that you want to create, right? I have my 3 sources, I can create depth. What intensity, how, why, when, that detailing changes from subject to subject, matter to matter. Texture, wow. Nowadays we are working with a lot of textures. A lot of textures. Nice to see some sound guys also in the audience. But textures change from, because nowadays the kind of fabrics that we use on set, we don't use only paint, we use flex, right? That means it's going to be reflective. Not every client is very happy to use Singapore flex. That is non-reflective. So how to work out your angles, because right now some of you can see the lights reflecting in the screen because it's a curve. So there would have been a different focus done on those lights to basically make this go away, so that everybody of you sees the screen clearly. But that's something that we can do, right? But around textures, all this stuff, it all depends on the object, on the venue that you have, and what lights you're using to not get these effects. Same thing, it's a sphere. It's got a texture on it, but one part of it, when it's lit, it looks different and the other part looks different. How do I make that change, adapt to what I'm doing? If I'm working with a particular product, right? But it has to look like that throughout, not like this on one side. How do I make that happen? And some clients are so particular about the way their things are, down to the nitty-gritties, I'm into the MM. They are like stuff, no, this is looking wrong. Change it. How to change it? Right? RGB fixture hai, so color aisa thodi aayega. So what not to do, not get into a situation that you can get stuck. We change. Black backdrop, right? Black ramp. How to create depth, yeah? How to create depth? Still the artist has to look like he's floating from the backdrop. It's a picture. How do I create depth against a black? So this is where you do it. The backdrop, the steps, right? The back logo to the backlight on his body, cut him out from the set. So even if it's black, he still looks like he's floating in space. If you notice, even the backlight on the floor is not shining back. There are no reflections. All degrees, angles, intensities. Done. Picture perfect. I'm fine. Still sculpting the face and getting texture. What it is? It's not a gobo. Right? It's not projection. It's one light source with lots of stuff. So if the light was off, you would never see the lady's face. Nahi dikhta tha. When that light comes on, that's when you see her face. And it's only shadows. Right? To get on this concept, to tell people that this is lighting, took me a long time. And it's still difficult to explain. But this is lighting. This is where you are. This is where I would love to be and someone to do stuff like this. Follow and research various painters, why they painted the way they did, right? Some musicians even, why did they create that kind of music at that period in time? What were their resources, what they had to create stuff? So we research all that. Most of the stuff in the classes is research. Go find out, ask questions. If you don't know, or maybe I don't know, I'll find out. Maybe I don't have all the answers. So it's research. This is an artist called Ramstein. I'm putting up these gothic pictures because this guy is a very famous rock star of metal. There's a light in his mouth. Why would a guy go through all of this? And if I show the next picture, you'll see why and how he's done it. Extreme. Extreme. I want this effect. This is how I want to do it. Can you imagine him trying to tell somebody or his lighting guy, I want this. I'm willing to go through this. But do this for me. And he will say, sorry boss, not possible. The light source has to be in his mouth. It has to be so bright that it doesn't burn his tongue on the inside of his mouth. It can be wired and unplugged and plugged. When he sings, it shouldn't bother him. That means it has to be small. Achieved. Done. This is designed for me. It works for me. To understand ki boss, I've thrown a problem at you. Deal with it. Karke dekha. So where I have got right now is I'm so tired of doing sangeets, fashion shows, launches. I'm so tired that, that I will do something that is not been done. Bring it on. Leke aao. As a designer, I want something that somebody will say, nahi ho sakta hai. Lighting as an option, it is not possible. So I'm asking and I'm trying to do those kind of gigs. So always somebody will come with something. I lit up somebody's spectacle store, brought his electricity consumption down to just 30%. Challenge, no? Boss, lighting has to be bright, fixtures that will be there, what sources to use, garam bahut hota hai. Sorted. Spoke to an architect friend. Saying, Lloyd, I want to just change the lighting in this. What can we do? Sat down with them, worked out how we can do individual lighting in each room, all controlled, sitting in your car on a smart app. Everything is already done. So that is where lighting is headed. It is not only on a stage, it's not only on a ramp. Lighting is far bigger than that, right? Lighting is everywhere. My company slogan is from bathrooms to stadiums, we do it all. No matter how small your project is, no matter how big it is, I should be able to come with a solution to light you up. If I can't do that, then probably need to call somebody else, right? So, sorry to scare with those pictures, but coming down to the course that we offer at IIED, there are two courses. One is a short-term course, which is about, say, it runs into 3 months. But it's workable. There is no screening for this course. What do you mean when you say screening? It's open to everybody. You could be a doctor, architect, you could be a dancer, right? What was the funny part is somebody once called me and said, I want to learn this course, I want to do this course. So I said, yeah, great, no problem. What's your background? I'm a pastry chef. बोला सही है पेस्ट्री शेफ मतलब जो डेजर्ट बनाता है यार तो ऐसे लाइटिंग सीख के क्या करेगा No, I take pictures of the stuff I make, of the cakes and the desserts. So I want them to be photographed in the best possible light. So that's why I want to come to learn lighting. I didn't expect that from that venue or from that point of view. And it happened. I said, yeah, I'll help you. And then there was a difference in the pictures they took. And she put them up and she was very happy. Right? So I don't know where this is going. So the eligibility is open to all. There's no screening. But for the guys who want to join the 1-year degree program, which we are offering, okay, there is a screening. Right? I will see where you're coming from. Where do you want to go at the end of the course? What exactly do you want to do? If you understand what I'm trying to teach at the end of the course, even if you get 60% in your brain, you're still, I think, way above where the market is right now in terms of other guys. We don't have a criteria on saying, use this console. I own 3 consoles myself. Why do I own 3 consoles? No, because I need to know that if I get an operator to program for me, and he says, no, I can't do this effect, then I can say, I know how to do this effect, because I know the console. Right? So that's why I bought and purchased, and I am in tie-up with most of the companies that make the leading consoles. So at the institute, we teach you those consoles. Right? So it's not that it's console-based training or it's only specific to one part of the industry. It's open to lighting. Lighting could be anything, any console. Right now we're using a pilot over here, I think. But that also works. What I share with you is the entire course. It's open. Yo, I'm going to teach you all these topics. Sorry, it's not a high-res image. But these are all just topics and subtopics. Each of these will probably go 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 lectures, 4 lectures. I don't know. We want to rerun on that, or we find more topics to research within that, we will study more. But it's all up to the student. How much you want to learn. Because I have got a lot of experience to talk about a lot of things. What do you want to learn? How much do you want to learn? It's up to you. And there is no time limit on my lectures. There is no time limit in terms of where you call me, what time you call me. We create a group. We post messages. I normally put 2 guys together who are completely opposite. One guy only wants to learn theater. Other guy wants to learn only touring lighting. So then I'll put those 2 guys together. So at least they feed off each other. They understand what the other guy is doing. Right? I'll make them fight. Because that's how I learned. If you're not hungry enough to learn, don't come to my course. Because I'm not a very nice teacher. I'm very rude, I'm very brash. I like to shout and scream. Because what I want out of you is more than what you want out of yourself at the institute. So the screening is very important for me to understand where you're from. Right? So it's not that you finish the course and you're done. It's a bond that we create when I teach somebody. So my last batch students are still in touch with me. They will still call me. We will still communicate in terms of what we are doing. And if they have any more queries or need help with something, they'll always ask. And asking is not a problem. So we always have this thing in the classes saying that no question is a stupid question. Right? So I'm going to end with my presentation here. These are the 2 email addresses. The lower one's my company, the upper one's the institute. And you can get in touch with us for more queries on understanding if you have a team of lighting operators and you want to make them go somewhere or learn more, how can I help you in making those guys understand? I'm going to take questions now. I don't know how many of you guys have questions, or if you do, now is the time to ask me those questions. Anybody? Didn't make sense at all what we were trying to do, or what I'm trying to do, or anything? Any questions, sir? No questions? Yeah, damn good. I'm getting better at this. I'm getting damn good at this. No questions at all. Who do you think would want to do this course, or you think should do this course? Guys who already know lighting, or guys who are fresh? What do you think? Sorry, sir?
Both.
Both of them should do the course. Yeah. So the guys who think they know lighting, their ego will get hurt. Nobody. I know lighting. Why should I come to this guy who thinks he knows lighting?
But there's still a lot more that you can learn from another person. He might teach you something new.
So yeah, thank you. That's my way of thinking, that there's always more to learn. There's always going to be something more to see. The industry as a whole, we are not factoring in the Indian scenario. You're not. My research, what I do, what I teach myself, is all on the international forum. That means if any particular gig has got a new technical rider, I want to get my hands on that. Or if I see a picture of something that somebody's doing and I didn't understand it, I'm going to find out who the LD was, who the technical crew was, and how did they achieve that. Because if I don't understand it, then I'm scared. I want to know how. So most of the time, for me, that is my research. I am understanding, I'm learning, right? So yes, for people who have done this and who know lighting, because most of the time what happens is people concentrate in their own field of work. If they are in theater, they do a lot of theater work. And they don't know what's happening out there, what kind of fixtures are out there that they could probably use to make their shows look better. So I try that. I keep teaching myself and pushing out information to my students on what I'm learning new. So if you all go back to the course and you'll see what stuff has been added there, there's some more stuff that's been added. The course is always changing. It can't be the same thing that I'm teaching year after year. The dynamics on the course are changing. You will see new stuff there that's not even there. But if I can offer it to you, I will. That's the whole idea behind me buying consoles, right? Software, you bought yourself a desk, right? It came with a software version 5. Tomorrow, the fixtures have got so advanced, you spent 40 lakhs on a console, and now you're saying that, boss, that light will not work on this board. What's the use? That is not what this course is offering. If you've gone ahead and basically understood that I have got this console, I've spent money, and it's going to do better shows for me, at the end of the day, this console should also have a software upgrade, no? So the course also has a software upgrade, right? Not only is me talking to you or communicating to you important, but my information and feedback goes down to me actually throwing you on a site. Throwing you on a site, why? Very important. We work in a very different scenario. So this is why the learning for new students. You take a new guy, you throw him on a site. He will die within half an hour. Because we are working with power, we are working with makeshift spaces, we are working with steps that lead to nowhere. We are dealing with backstage spaces that are not safe in terms of walking around. Right? The new boy will come on site, he won't have safety shoes. Right? He touches something, he doesn't know what is what. Most of the people I've seen accidents that have happened for this reason. So you teach the guy what we're doing and why we're doing it. And he understands that. That is the basic way for a new person. Right? It's not like saying, "Arey boss, how? Until you lift the weight, you don't know how heavy it is." No. Understand that your limit is that you can lift 30 kilos. Right? If you can't lift more than that, you won't try it. No, how much is it? I will not touch it. Right? Not to kill yourself before you start learning or before you get anywhere. Most people burn their fingers. Nahi boss, mere ko nahi hoega, mere se nahi hoega. Or they come to a new console, they say, "It's too complicated, yaar. I know this console, why should I learn this?" Right? Can you imagine my head? It's in 15 places. Camsys, Evo, ETC, MA2, now MA3. Right? So when I come to a console, first I have to reset my brain for 5 minutes. Acha, which board? Okay, what am I doing? Then it starts flowing. So teaching, learning, yes, it's for both. I still go to my mentors and still ask them something I've forgotten. I keep in touch with them. That's my learning. Because as you go ahead, you also have to reach back. You have to keep in touch with where you started. My basic, I was lucky to see theater. I saw theater. Theater is the mother of all lighting. Ask anybody and they'll tell you. If they're telling you something else, boss, sorry. Theater. Start in a theater, watch a few plays. You will wonder what you're doing in life. What that guy does on a theater stage and what you're doing here. So this course is for you know your job, and so I want to get into this field. It's for those people. Any more questions? Somebody else? No, my students also can ask me questions. You can put me in the spot. Always I'm harassing them. So if you all have any questions now, now's your chance. Maybe I'll goof up. Yes? So I think most of the questions are there. If you have something that you want to ask me that's not making sense, okay, well, yes, sir.
Are you giving us a light show after this?
A light show? No. This is a light show. It's a very bad light show. But for me, it's not what I can put out. It's most of the time it's what I can give. I've reached that stage now where I get bored very easily, as a matter of fact. So for me, to do something again and again and again is not exciting. What is exciting now is messing with your heads and then looking at the reactions on your faces when you all suddenly realize, oh shit, this guy's talking about this. How can this talk to this? How can the AV talk to lighting? How the other day, it was very, very, very shocking. I spoke to a very you could say renowned sound professional. And I told him that you have to do this sound to light show. I'll play the track from my lighting board. And he was like, what? So I said, I'll play the track from my lighting board. You just take a sound out from my lighting board. So he's like, how? So I said, I'll do it, you don't worry. You just give me the track and I'll sing the sound to light from my lighting console. So that's what I'm trying to say. He's learned, he's gone into sound so much. He's a sound genius, right? But he hasn't factored in that probably, the lighting consoles also have got a little advanced, right? So for us, it is that. It is only that. So like right now you said, sir, that lighting show, right? I'm not saying I'm the best lighting designer out there because I'm still learning. What you have to factor in is that, do you know enough? Do you know enough? Tomorrow, to go and say in front of somebody, "Main ye show kar lega." How much do you know? Have you done your research? Have you backed in every factor to give the best to your client? Or no, it's not important to you. Then it's fine. If it's not important to you, it doesn't bother you, it's great. But for me, it's a big factor. When I see something, like the other day I saw a Broadway musical adaptation in India. It was superb, right? You get to see cues happening on time. And there was one glitch. I saw one glitch. And that hurt. It hurt me very bad. That everything was going perfectly. Everything was good. And one lighting cue looked odd. It just went from one scene to the next and you could see that movement of light. And that bothered me. So what do you think must have happened? Because it's a Broadway adaptation straight from a stage that's come to India. Right? Do they don't care for us? Or we are not a discerning audience? Is that what I understood? That they didn't take enough care in making sure that every lighting scene was perfect. As an Indian audience chalta hai. They come to listen to a musical. And that has to change. And you guys will change it. My students will change it. Because they are going to be, boss, sorry boss, it looks nice, but I can show you better. And if that happens in the next 5 to 10 years, and the industry gets a spurt of that, I think we've ignited something, and I've started something that I'm very proud to do. So that's where I'm headed. So if there are students out there who want to join this course, I'm giving you an incentive. Okay? I'm getting old. I'm going to get out of here very quickly. Right? I am offering internships. Right? So internships for me in my company to work along with me, work with my clients. Make money, boys. Right? Full, proper incentive. Right? We won't get into figures of how much I make and what I make and why I make. But people call me, still call me for work. So I'm saying besides the institute, I have my company. Right? So right now, the students, whenever they can, they visit sites, on site, literally burning their hands on site and understanding about what it takes in actually doing the job that I'm teaching you in class. Yeah? So if you're interested, call Let's see. I want a challenge. Okay, guys? Any more questions? Are we good? I think we're good. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. Even I am not from the lighting industry, but I could get a lot of things. Thank you so much. I would like you here on stage to present a small token of appreciation. I would request Ms. Smita Rai, our director, PAM AVICN, to present the certificate. Please, audience, give a round of applause for Mr. Lloyd Albuquerque.